I'm Corey Skandarian, a practicing physiotherapist and founder of Nobody. My goal with Nobody is to help you, the allied health practitioner, gain a deeper insight on the human behind the body to create long-term therapeutic outcomes and bring a positive impact to the lives of your clients. Nobody introduces 6 separate modules to select from, delivered through practical group or online workshops, exploring the human body in mind for better treatment outcomes, better client relationships, for effective business growth, to finally achieve personal and professional fulfillment. Today, we are discussing the content you will find in Module 1, the Therapeutic Alliance, where we explore just how important it is to establish trust with your client even before the physical treatment starts. To help us dive deeper into this most essential feature of our client relationship, I'm going to join Robbie Moore, a clinical psychotherapist practicing in Sydney, who has a background in helping dental practitioners in this exact area. So Robbie, in your mind, what is the cornerstone of a powerful therapeutic alliance?
For me, the cornerstone is being able to empathize, and what I mean by that is to be able to step into and meet the patient's or the client's subjective experience, what might be happening from their standpoint, and being able to relate to that and using empathic phrases that try to describe what's actually going on, and to be able to have a real commitment to meet the client regardless of what comes up, whether they're angry, whether they're resistant, whether they're judging of me or you, to continue to hold that commitment to meet them in this moment, because I'm only facing what they face, which is their resistance to or their block to the chronic pain or the trauma or whatever. And also one's capacity as a practitioner to build their own compassion for the parts of themselves that they judge. The more that we can actually do that in ourselves, the broader the spectrum of humans we can find compassion for. Yeah. People are people, and trust is trust. And that actually it doesn't matter if I'm going to a massage therapist, a physiotherapist, a psychotherapist, a dentist, a GP. Trust is integral in the commitment the patient makes as to whether they will continue to seek their guidance and healing from this path.
And what are the steps for a practitioner to start establishing a trusting relationship with their client?
For me, one of the important factors is having the patient really feel that I have got them, that I'm really with them. And I don't like to use the word I really understand them, but certainly they feel understood.
So Robbie, how would you bring compassion into a therapeutic session?
I think for all of us, we have to find our own experience of compassion. And that actually, if I, in myself, struggle to accept my own anger, for instance, then it's very hard for me to find compassion for my client's anger if they get angry with me. You know, actually, if I'm holding a judgment that anger is rude, then my client's going to be rude when they become angry that they're in pain or that they've got this going on. And so, you know, at an experience level, I need to find compassion for the sufferings and the feelings and the emotions in me if I'm going to have that capacity to give it to another. And the funny thing about the experience of compassion as a therapist is that and I think that this is fairly global with a lot of the therapists that I speak with and work with, is that when they have given themselves compassion on, we'll go with anger because I'm speaking of anger, then it's much easier to intuit that that's what's missing for the other. And there is then the capacity to give it, to actually give compassion to the other person in their anger because I have the capacity in me. It's very hard to come up with a one-size-fits-all answer. What one patient or client will experience as compassion is not what another will experience as compassion. So it's sometimes hard to break it down into specifics that are absolutely global, other than a patient feeling that I am understood and this person feels warmly to what I'm understanding as the end goal. The game plan to get there, there may be 6 billion ways to do that because, or however many million people there are on the planet now.
Yeah.
The dilemma there is that as soon as we say we understand, we're actually saying, I've judged you. We would want the client to feel understood, but in our line of work, to say we understand is a mistruth, because we can't actually understand. As soon as we say, I've got you, I absolutely know what you're experiencing and I get it, then we have projected, because we can only ever have our own reference of what might be going on. So what's more important is coming up with empathic statements that might align. So for someone who's in pain, to say, wow, that sounds really painful, rather than, look, I understand that pain, that is horrible. There's a subtle difference to understanding and empathizing that leaves the patient feeling more understood, I believe, when we empathize rather than understand. As soon as we start with an agenda, they're already misunderstood, because it's like, you're with pain and I hold a position that I want to soften that. And that's what actually gets fed to the client. Whereas from a therapeutic standpoint, we would say, be with the pain. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is horrific. The tragedy, this is whatever it is. Whatever words in that relationship that the therapist is moved to use as a way of being okay with where the pain is for the patient, and trying to have the patient or the client feel gotten.
Because as physiotherapists, we approach a situation of pain and we look at it from a scope of, what can I do in my technical toolkit to be able to relieve the pain?
In chronic pain, and many types of pain that are ongoing, there is a sense of isolation in that pain. To actually bring honouring space, acknowledgement to that pain, and to be able to relate to it, becomes, in many cases, the turning point, in that the pain is no longer experienced as out of relationship and alone. So I think that psychologically, having a client or patient that feels that you're relating to what no one else has gotten to, then that in itself really strengthens that alliance and builds trust before you even bring in any of your tools and approaches.
Where does empowerment sit from a psychological realm of things?
The lack of empowerment is, in my experience, a lack of support. A lack of support in the individual themselves to take the step to face the pain or the feeling, or to do what it is that they deem is required. And so, for changing that to being empowered is the mechanism of support. So I think that's why many people go to different clinicians, is that they are looking for a way forward that they haven't been able to find in themselves. And the tricky bit there is, do you become, or do I become, the empowerment? Do we hold that function for them? And is that what we offer? Or do we try to be in a way where the client or patient can feel that empowerment themselves? And for some, actually, in my own experience, I have to be the empowerment for a period of time before they have had enough support that they can feel it in themselves. And for others, they can take that support straight away and feel empowered. The empowerment is the client's capacity to be aware of what they weren't aware of in this problem for them, in this pain for them. It's the process of facilitating a certain level of awareness that may not have been present before. So yes, I think that being able to feel, and having, not only being able to feel, having a practitioner that can also feel, is essential to that healing process.
Yeah.
Sometimes establishing a strong therapeutic alliance is in fact the treatment itself, where the client's struggle is simply addressed by being heard. Forming an alliance with the client is more of an attitude than a technique, and the first step to building an alliance is to convey warmth and compassion. I hope you have gained insight on how to approach your clients with the intention to help them beyond their physical struggle, so you can use this in your practice tomorrow. I encourage you to look further into Nobody and discover the human behind the body.